You're listening to The Fully Booked Therapist with Heather Hommel. This is the business coaching show for hands-on therapists who are done under-earning and ready to build a practice that pays them more than enough. Real conversations, real results, your real life. Let's get into it. Hey, welcome back to the Fully Booked Therapist podcast. I'm your host, Heather, and today we are talking about something that I think about a lot that most practitioners probably never think about until they absolutely have to. And that is what happens to your business when life falls apart. Not when you planned a vacation, not when you scheduled a continuing education weekend. I mean, when something happens that you did not see coming and you need to stop everything right now and be somewhere else. I want to talk to you today about how to close your business in under 30 minutes, and more importantly, how to have a plan in place so that if you can't do it yourself, someone you trust can do it for you. I want to start by telling you something personal because this episode didn't come from a curriculum. It came from my actual real life and observing other therapists go through moments like this. But for me personally, a few months ago, my grandmother, my Lolo, who had been healthy and independent her whole life, was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. She went into AFib and had to be shocked back into rhythm. And what followed that was one of the most intense stretches of my life in dealing with my grandma. So hospital, nursing home, readmission, then a life flight to Spokane, Washington, followed by cardiac intensive care for over 21 days, a balloon procedure that failed, a pacemaker, and a valve replacement. I flew back and forth across the country to be there with my mom, who was taking care of my grandma through all of this. I wanted to be there to help navigate what was happening and to just be present for whatever anyone needed. And here's the thing, I was able to do that. I was able to move on a dime, book a flight, and go because I had set myself up, set my business up in a way that allowed me to do so. And that isn't luck, that is structure and having a plan in place. And when I was sitting in those hospital waiting rooms, I kept thinking about my clients, about the practitioners in my programs, because I knew that if something like this happened to them, a lot of them would not have the same ability to just go. They would be scrambling. They would be stressed about their clients on top of everything else that was already happening. And that is what I want to fix today. Now, I'll be honest with you. This is one of those topics where I could spend 2 hours going deep. And inside my foundations program, I've actually created the curriculum that goes with this podcast. There's a full checklist and a training that walks members through building their own emergency shutdown plans step by step. But today I want to give you the framework. I want you to walk away from this episode and actually do something with it this week, because done is way better than perfect, and a rough plan in place is infinitely better than no plan at all. So let's talk about a couple of scenarios, a temporary or brief shutdown and a longer, more unexpected closure. So the temporary shutdown first. The temporary shutdown is probably the one you've already bumped into at least once, right? You woke up sick, you had diarrhea, you were vomiting during the night, or you tweaked your back, your kid's in the ER, and you need to cancel a couple of your clients for the next few days, and you need to do it fast. Here's what needs to happen, and here is what needs to be ready before that moment ever comes. First, you need to be able to pull up your client schedule and contact information quickly and easily. This sounds super obvious, but I want you to actually think about whether you could do this right now in under 5 minutes, and right now in under 5 minutes under stress. Can someone you know who is not you do it for you? Like, could your spouse figure it out? Could your best friend? Could a colleague from down the street help you out in this situation? If the answer is no, that is going to be your first homework assignment. Okay. So how do people log in to check this for you, and what information do they need? Where is that information located? Second, you really do need a standard operating procedure. And I know that sounds super corporate, but what it really means is a simple written list of steps. Log into your system, use this login, go to this URL. Here's how you search in it. Here's how you can tell who's on the schedule and when. Here's where you find their phone number and their email. And here's what you do when you call them. Here are the words to say, and here is the email to use to email them. Here's a script. And yeah, I said script. You need a client communication template for emergency shutdowns, something that is warm and professional and already written so that whoever is making those calls or sending those emails does not have to figure out what to say or how much information to give away while they're also worried about you. Or maybe they don't really know you that well and they're just stepping in. Like, how do you make this as simple as possible for that person? And something like this does not have to be long. It can say something like, "Hi, this is a message from your name's office. Due to an unexpected personal situation, your appointment on the date will be rescheduled. We will be in touch as soon as possible to get you back on the schedule. We appreciate your patience and your understanding at this time." That's it. Simple, kind, doesn't overshare, gives them what they need to know. And then also, you want them to know how to cancel those appointments if that's what you want to do. Like, say you can't get a hold of someone, so you leave that kind of message. You want to follow up with an email, and then you also want to follow up with a confirmation that the appointment has been canceled. So, you also need a way to record who was contacted when, what was said, whether that's in your scheduling system or on a piece of paper in a spreadsheet that gets manually added later. There needs to be some sort of record so you know who was contacted when, because when you come back, you need to know exactly where the things stand with those clients. And what should this person do? Should a client ask for a refund? Have that answer ready too. You do not need to lead with refunds. And I would actually encourage you not to lead with what you expect to be or when you expect to be back and how they're going to hear from you. But have a simple, gracious response ready for the person who does ask questions. Okay, so then let's talk about the longer, more unexpected closure. Let's talk about what happens when it's not just a few days. What happens when it's an injury that has you out for 6 weeks or more, like an unexpected one? Or it could be a planned surgery that ends up taking longer to recover from than you initially expected, or a family member who needs you for a sustained period of time, like in my case. Everything I just said still applies. So we need that basic SOP for how to alert people. But now we're talking about a few additional things. So you need to be able to turn off your online scheduling if you have it. And let's say you're incapacitated and you can't do that. You need someone who can do that for you. Right now, if something happened tomorrow, do you know how to do that? And do you know how to walk someone through how to do that? Do you have the login information somewhere that's accessible? Could someone else do it for you? These are all questions that you really need to answer for yourself. You also need to be able to update your website, your social media, and with whatever information you want your clients in your community to know and understand at first glance. And again, this doesn't have to be elaborate, just a simple banner on your website, a post on your business page, something on your Google listing, something that tells people that you're temporarily unavailable and when they can expect to hear from you, even if that timeline is an estimate. And here's a piece I really want you to sit with, and it's the financial piece. One of the things that made it possible for me to fly across the country multiple times and be present for my family was that I was in a financial position to do that. And I teach a lot of how to manage your money and how to pay yourself in a way that creates this kind of life for you as well. I teach this inside my program because I believe it is foundational to running a practice that actually supports your life. You need to be able to create a financial reserve that can carry you through an unexpected closure or injury. Because if you can't afford to close, then you're not actually free, right? You've just created a job for yourself and you're just hoping that nothing ever goes wrong. And that's really not an acceptable place to live from or to function in your business. So I want to make sure that you get the foundational skills to create this for you as well. Okay, now let's come back to something I mentioned earlier because I think it deserves its own spotlight. You need to identify one person who could execute your shutdown plan for you if you could not do it for yourself. This could be your spouse, a close friend, maybe it's a colleague in your field. It doesn't have to be someone who understands the business inside and out. It just needs to be someone who you can trust, who can access your plan, and who knows where to find it and what to do once they've found it. So think about what it would mean to be in a hospital and not have to worry about whether your clients are being contacted. What would it mean to hand your phone to your husband or your best friend and say, the plan is in the notes app. Can you handle this for me? And actually know that they can. That's the goal. And this might be a conversation that you have ahead of ever having any kind of major illness or injury, right? We never know when we're going to get in a car accident and maybe we're unable to communicate or talk. So it would be good for people to know where this information is ahead of time and have one person that knows how to access that, or maybe multiple people in case the other person is also involved with you. So let's go over what I want you to do this week. It's just 3 things. 1, make sure your client schedule and contact information is accessible in under 5 minutes. Test it, time yourself, then think about whether someone else could do it without your help. 2, write your client communication template. It's 1 paragraph. Keep it simple. Save it somewhere that you can find it and tell someone else where it is also saved. Notes app is a great idea on your phone. 3rd, write out your shutdown steps as if you were writing them for someone who has never seen your business before. They've never logged into your scheduling system. They don't understand how any of that works. So step 1, step 2, step 3, that is what an SOP is. It does not have to be perfect. It just has to exist and help people to get logged in. Okay. I do want to share that we've had many people inside the program break a thumb, get in a car accident, get pregnant, and need to leave because they were ill. What else have we had happen? We've had family emergencies. We've had breast cancer diagnoses. We've had a family member diagnosed with breast cancer. And so, it affects your business at different levels depending on what happens, how long you need to be closed, and if this happened directly to you or to a family member. But you just want to know that it's not really like if this happens to you, it's when something like this happens to you. It's one thing when you wake up and you have the stomach flu or you have diarrhea and you have to close for a day or two. But it's another thing when it's going to be multiple weeks, months on end, and it's not planned for. This is when you want to have this stuff, these plans in place. It's for the unplanned exception to something that happens to you that could be catastrophic or not, but that you want to have someone step in and take care of it for you, or you want to be able to handle it swiftly and quickly. In my case, I have a little bit of a team in the back end, so I'm able to send out a message that says, this is what I'm doing and this is what I need you to take care of for me, and they can cover for me. But it wasn't always like that. And when I had my hands-on business, I really was the one that knew how to do all of these things. So if I had a family emergency, for example, when my mother-in-law went in for surgery and then unexpectedly had major complications and ultimately ended up passing away, I didn't have this stuff in place. And I went to work after she passed away and continued to work. And I ended up leaving in the middle of the day because it finally hit me what am I doing? Why am I here? I need to be grieving. I want to be grieving with my family. I just encourage you all to have a plan in place for these situations so that when or if this happens, no matter what level of tragedy it is or complication, you can decide to have the experience of that you want to have. And trust me, you do not want to be at work when someone you loved just died. You don't want to be at work. You want to be at home. You want to be with your family. And when someone is ill and you want to be with them, you want to be able to leave to go be with them. So create that freedom now simply by having this in place, and then work on your finances to make sure that you can manage financially when and if something like this were to occur for you. So if you want to go deeper on this, I do have a full training inside my foundations program that walks you through the complete emergency closure plan, the financial side of being able to sustain an unexpected closure, and so much more about building a practice that actually holds up when life gets hard. And if you're not in foundations yet, the best step is to come to my free webinar training where I walk you through how I help practitioners like you build a business that gets fully booked and financially strong. You can go and watch the latest webinar by going to the mfrcoach.com/webinar. We'll put a link inside the show notes. You got into this work because you care about people. You are a healer. You are a bodywork therapist, but you cannot show up for your clients if you are scrambling, stressed, and unprepared when something happens in your own life. Build the plan now before you need it. Your future self is going to be so glad that you took the time to do this. I will see you in the next episode. Take good care. Thanks for spending this time with me today. If you're a hands-on therapist who is ready to get fully booked and build a practice that actually pays you, I want to help you do that. Head over to heatherhummel.com to find out how we can work together. And if you loved this episode, please share it with someone who needs it. See you next week.